Dusty Swant, area range specialist within RCA. I work out of the Fulton field office there, but cover kind of 12 counties in northeast Kansas, assisting, farmers and ranchers with different grazing, questions through programs or just general grazing assistance as well. This is a grazing stick. Some of you might have had one if you've attended our Eastern Kansas grazing schools that we've held in the past. Very good information on this. Um, so what we like to have, part of my region is native grass, and once you get kind of east of Holton, it becomes primarily cool season grass. Pot County, Marshall, Washington, where I cover some brome and stuff, but a lot of native and, different management techniques as we go into the fall. The native grass is kind of by September 1st. It's pretty well done, only about 4% growth on it. Where the cool season grasses, they start to pick up there. They can have, if moisture presents itself, about 30% of growth in the fall, 70% in the spring. So that's kind of something to keep in mind, as you're grazing these forages. Um, Even if it rains now, your native grasses ain't really going to do much, except provide a little health and vigor, going into the winter, which in turn, will be healthy. Keep those roots, healthy and vigorous to come up next spring and kind of outcompete the undesirables. So with native, you might have heard the phrase take half, leave half. Anytime you take more than 50% of that top biomass, you start to hurt the roots of that plant underground. So if you graze more than 50% of the biomass above ground on native grass, you start to have a decline in roots. And if you do that year after year on those key native plants like big blue stem, Indian grass, you're going to have a reduction in productivity, which in turn, will lead to more undesirable forage, costing your bottom line, which in turn leads to less productivity from the cattle. More of these undesirables will pop up, given that opportunity. Maybe more musk thistles in time. All those things that we don't want, which in turn hurts your bottom dollar, the economics. So with cool season grass, it's kind of the same way. We worry about those roots for that following year. We want those roots going into winter to be the most productive they can be, to come out of that following spring to outcompete these undesirables, and have a nice head start versus your, ragweed or musk thistle, things like that. So what we like to see on cool season grass is it depends on the varieties, but on brome, we like to see about 6 inches of leaf height. And this here you can see has like a yardstick, but it's a grazing stick. You kind of put your hand down, and right in there, this is a little fescue clump. Kind of put your hand down until you feel some resistance. So if I had to guess, that'd be 8 or 9 inches. So with fescue, our specs say, and this is based off of research throughout various universities, not only K-State, but all across the nation, fescue should have about 4 inches of leaf height going into the first freeze on average, which is October 15th here, give or take a few days on average. Stays hot like this, it might not be till November or December 15th, but so that's, tall fescue, about 4 inches of leaf height. Brome, we like to see about 6 inches of leaf height going into winter, just not as hardy of a plant, so it takes a little bit more leaf height going into that first frost, which usually occurs at October 15th. So those are kind of the things we look for and should try to manage